If you feel alone right now, good. It might not feel good. But this isn't a mistake. This feeling of emptiness, this strange sense that you've been pulled away from the world, it's not a punishment. It's a sign, a message. You're not breaking. You're transforming. Throughout history, the greatest transformations have always begun in silence, in solitude, in darkness. The Buddha sat alone beneath the Bodhi tree. Jesus went into the desert for 40 days. Nietzsche spoke of the highest man as the loneliest. Loneliness has always been the beginning, not the end. You're not being abandoned, you're being initiated. When the old self starts to die, it doesn't go quietly. It screams, it clings, it makes you feel like something is wrong. But what's really happening is this: the false self, the one shaped by expectations, approval, and masks, is falling apart. And when it falls, you feel the gap. That gap is what we call loneliness. But it's not absence, it's space. Space for the real you to emerge. Carl Jung called it the integration of the shadow. It's the part of you you've hidden, denied, rejected. Now it's rising, and as the noise of the world fades, the voice of your soul grows louder. You're not disconnected, you're detaching from everything that never truly belonged to you. In ancient tribes, when it was time to transform, the initiate was separated, taken from the village, placed alone in the wild. They weren't cursed. They were chosen. There, in the silence, they faced death. Not physical death, something deeper. The death of who they thought they were. Only then could they return, changed, awakened, reborn. And maybe that's what's happening to you. Your loneliness isn't random, it's sacred. It's the ritual your soul never told your mind about. You are passing through the fire, not to burn, but to be forged. When you sit in the silence, it feels like nothingness. It feels like the end, but it's not the end, it's the beginning. What feels like a void is actually a womb. Think of the caterpillar. When it enters the cocoon, it dissolves completely. No wings, no legs, no plan, just darkness. But that darkness isn't death, it's transformation. You are in the chrysalis, the discomfort, the silence, the stillness. It's all part of the process. What you're becoming can't be rushed. This is the stage where the world seems to forget you. Because you're supposed to forget the world, so something deeper can take its place. You are not lost, you are being remade. We were taught to belong, to fit in, to seek approval. But what if that was the lie? What if real growth means no longer needing to belong? What if transformation requires stepping outside the crowd? Kierkegaard called it the leap of faith, leaving behind the comforts of convention to walk into the unknown. Buddhism teaches renunciation, not to escape life, but to discover it more deeply. The reason you feel alone isn't because you're broken, it's because you've stopped chasing the world, and the world no longer knows what to do with someone who isn't chasing it. But that's exactly when your real life begins. And then something changes. You begin to notice your thoughts. You watch your emotions. You start to observe instead of react. In that space, a new self is born. Vedantic philosophy calls it the witness. Neuroscience calls it metacognition. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is you're no longer trapped in the storm. You're watching the sky above it. This is freedom, not the kind the world sells you, but the kind that can never be taken away. The loneliness begins to shift. It's no longer emptiness. It's presence, still, deep, silent, alive. Nobody tells you how painful it is to wake up. Transformation isn't a straight line. It's not a gentle sunrise, it's a fire, a collapse, a storm. The myths knew this. The phoenix must burn, the snake must shed, the hero must descend before they rise. You're not supposed to feel comfortable. You're supposed to feel pulled apart because something inside you is rearranging. Don't rush to fix it. Don't numb it. Feel it. This pain is sacred. You are dissolving so you can evolve. And then something returns, but it's not the same. It's not noise or validation or surface-level company. It's a new kind of connection. You feel aligned, clear. You start meeting people who see you, not the mask, but the soul. Synchronicities happen, ideas flow. Life feels like it's breathing with you again. This is what you were waiting for. Not the crowd, not the noise, but the truth. The kind of connection that comes only after you've met yourself in the dark. And now, the deepest truth. You were never alone, not once, not really. That sense of separation. It was the ego's illusion, a test, a veil. Behind it, something has always been there, watching, guiding, loving. Call it your soul, call it God, call it life itself. The mystics have always said it. I am with you, always. In your silence I speak. In your stillness I rise. You didn't lose the world. You found the universe. You didn't fall apart. You fell through, and on the other side of loneliness is truth. So if you feel alone right now, don't run from it. Don't fight it. Listen, this isn't your ending. It's your beginning. You're not being forgotten. You're being found, and who you become on the other side. We'll remember this moment as the day everything quietly began. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't make sense. It doesn't come after loss. It doesn't come from being surrounded by strangers. It comes in the quiet moments, in the stillness, when everything around you seems normal, but inside you feel like you're disappearing. You can't explain it. You just feel different. And here's the truth. No one told you. If you feel deeply alone right now, if you feel like no one truly understands what you're going through, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something inside you is changing. This kind of loneliness isn't punishment. It's transformation. It's the shedding of an old self, a self that no longer fits the life you're meant to live. And like a snake crawling out of its old skin, the process is silent, raw, and deeply personal. You're not being abandoned, you're being called inward, because something ancient is waking up inside you, and it doesn't need noise, it needs space. You're not the first to feel this, and you won't be the last. Every great spiritual transformation begins the same way, alone. Jesus went into the desert. Buddha sat beneath a tree. Muhammad retreated into a cave. These weren't coincidences, they were initiations. In every ancient tradition, the path to awakening starts with isolation, not because solitude is easy, but because it's sacred. In the mystery schools of Egypt, students were placed in darkness. In indigenous tribes, seekers would wander the forest for days, fasting, weeping, listening. Monks still spend years in silence, searching for something. Beyond words, what they were all seeking is the same thing your soul is whispering for now. Truth, clarity, awakening. But before you can hear it, everything else must go quiet. So if you feel like no one gets you anymore, if the old world is slipping away, that's not collapse. That's the beginning of your initiation. You are not lost, you are being prepared. But there is a death that must come first, and it's not the kind you see on the outside. It's the death of the false self, the version of you that was built to survive, not to thrive. The you that learned to smile when you wanted to scream. The you that kept quiet just to be accepted. The you that performed, pleased, and pretended. That version, it's breaking, and of course it hurts, because you've worn that mask for so long you thought it was you, but now, something deeper is rising, something real. Carl Jung called this process individuation, the integration of your truest self, not the ego, not the role, but the soul. And as the persona crumbles, the loneliness intensifies, not because you're empty, but because the illusions that kept you distracted are finally gone. This is the sacred unraveling, the painful undoing of everything you thought you had to be, and in its place, something new is being born. In the beginning, the silence feels unbearable, but if you stay with it long enough, something happens. you start to hear a voice, not a loud one, not even one made of words. It's a knowing, a deep presence, a quiet awareness that says, I'm still here. And I always was. This is your deep self, the part of you that was never broken, never lost, never afraid. In Vedanta, it's called the Atman. In mysticism, it's the soul. In psychology, it's the true self beneath the ego. It doesn't beg for validation. It doesn't fear rejection, it simply is, but you can only hear it when everything else goes silent. So if you're feeling alone right now, maybe it's because your real self is finally taking the stage, and it doesn't need applause, it just needs space. What if I told you your loneliness is a glitch? Not in you, but in the system. A sign that you're waking up from a dream. This world teaches you to chase status, followers, approval. It teaches you to fit in, play roles, follow scripts. But what happens when the script no longer makes sense? What happens when the roles feel fake?